but I can... So what do you think is different about reading verse from Shakespeare as opposed to reading prose?
I think it's a lot easier because there's a guide written into the language. There's a certain method that I've been taught for treating Shakespeare's verse that works with commas, full stops. There are lots of different theories about it. There's first folio where, you know, it's all about how and where you breathe. In first folio, you don't take a breath unless there's a full stop. And what I just did, and I didn't do it entirely right the whole time because those are older monologues, but you keep going with your breath, and it's almost like singing. You take a catch breath on commas. And the other important thing about doing that is you don't let the energy of the verse fall on the commas. My instructor said it was a little bit like listing off things that you were angry about when you come home and find the house a mess. Your voice, actually, there's a slight upwards inflection on a comma line. I come home, I find the house a mess, the dog has been into the books, none of the homework is done, and it sort of crescendos your voice, and that works well, especially with how Shakespeare writes.
Because he writes
monologues.
in a British voice, right? And they tend to have upwards inflections at the end of their thoughts.
Yeah, Americans, we drop
right.
the ends of our lines.
As you can tell from the way we're speaking now.
Right now. So that's a big thing. Another big part of it is, the most helpful and basic thing is scoring the text in terms of the scansion of it. And a lot of people think of it as iambic pentameter, like da-dum, 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 and then make big deals about looking in lines that have feminine endings or extra syllables or things like that. There's a British school of approaching it that I think was started by John Barton, where you don't really look at where the strong and weak beats fall in the line. You sort of, it's musical, you clap out a rhythm of the line. So Macbeth's line, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, creeps in this petty pace from day to day. You can actually say that several different ways and mean several different things by it and still sort of honor the rhythm of the line. So if you just read it plain iambic pentameter, it would be tomorrow and tomorrow, or tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. It's a little awkward, but if you kind of beat it out, sometimes beats can fall on commas, sometimes they can fall on other syllables. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, beat, beat, creeps in this petty pace. And it's sort of speaking in the beats, or you could do tomorrow, beat, and tomorrow, comma, and tomorrow, creeps in this petty pace from day to the last syllable of recorded time. And doing those monologues when I first did them was actually a matter of like sitting down at a desk, reading the lines while I was clapping, reading it several different ways, and figuring out what worked for the meaning of the line. The other thing about Shakespeare's just language in general that's fantastic, and this is true for verse and prose, is he puts the emotion of the line into the consonants and vowels that he uses. There's a line, what was it, in the second part of the Hermione speech where she's getting angry at Leontes, and she says, if I shall be condemned upon surmises, all truth sleeping else but what your jealousies awake. There are a lot of S's and a lot of percussive consonants that you can kind of spit out, and if you just go through the text, really playing with the vowel sounds and consonants, overemphasizing them, you'll actually find it sort of supports you and helps you, mimics the sound of the emotion, but also because you can feel that energy that it's creating in your voice, it helps support it with the emotion and how you're supposed to be feeling.
Right, it's not imposing stuff on the words, it's letting the words have an effect on you.
Yeah, because Shakespeare really writes like music, which is what's wonderful about it. And if you do the scanning and then you figure out exactly what you're saying, you know, you figure out the thesis of your soliloquy, your supporting points, and then sort of your conclusion, because a lot of the soliloquies are written with that thesis, support, conclusion format. Hamlet's to be or not to be is the great thing. He sort of has a question, then reasons it out, comes to a conclusion at the end. And it's a very logical, concrete approach to text. And sort of, if you know the rules of doing it and the things to play with, scansion, consonants and vowels. One thing I didn't talk about, I guess, was antithesis, but Shakespeare uses all these contrasts.
Which I think is a huge thing as far as like finding the structure of the argument.
It's a very logically based thing. It's saying there's this, or there's this, or he contrasts this and this, and he puns and he plays with words. And the nice thing is that it's a lot of sitting down text work, but when you sort of do that and figure it out and play with it based on what you know about the character, it just is wonderfully supportive for the actor. It figures out so many things for you.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
No problem.